Joshua Byrne from WHOATV. I'm joined by Eddie Hearn. How are you, Eddie?
Very well, very well.
Thank you so much for your time today. I know you're very busy. So everyone weighed in on weight?
Yeah, everyone's in, everyone's weighed in. Some good fights. First show 2016.
I was going to say,
really
a lot
looking
of fights.
forward to it. Yeah, 14 fights on the bill,
fights.
which for a promoter is a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because you sort of, I always have arguments with Sky because Sky are doing their analysis of the fight. I'm like, okay, that's enough talking. Let's get another fight on.
Yeah.
So it's good for the crowd, and we've always got a lot of fighters to get out in December and January, and I'm looking forward to a big show tomorrow.
Interested to see how George looks under Shane McGregor?
Yeah, I think these things take time, and unfortunately, the public and critics aren't that forgiving, so they want to see improvement straight away.
Impatient.
I think that I think George will look well. I think George Grove is exciting.
Yeah.
Even when he boxed Rebrass and he boxed Duglin, he was getting hit a lot. And I know that's not ideal, but it's good to watch.
It's good to
it does. And Luisa, who's being overlooked here, does have a chance. He can fight. He's got good amateur pedigree. He can punch. So I'm looking forward to it. But I think Groves, with the McGuigan style, is going to be punching much harder.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be interesting to see.
Shane's talked about working on that power shot, landing that punch that can end the fight.
Well, Groves used to have big power, and following the Froch 1 fight, he didn't seem to have power in Froch 2. He didn't seem to have a lot of power in the Rebrass fight, or the Duglin fight, and the Jack fight.
Yeah.
So he's lost a little bit of that snap and that power, and there has to be a reason for that. So it's Shane's job to find out what that reason is.
Looking past the main event, any undercard fight you think can steal the show?
Well, there's two fantastic fights. One is John Ryder against Sergei Kamitsky. Kamitsky is a guy we've seen over in Britain many times, and they call him the Brit Basher because he knocked out Frank Buglioni and he knocked out Adam Etches, and he gave Martin Murray a hell of a fight. Right. So it's a really tough fight for Ryder, and it's kind of career defining because he lost to Blackwell and now he must come back with a win here. John Wayne Hibbert against Tommy Martin for the Commonwealth title is a great fight. One guy from Essex, one guy from Cambridge, both sold 600-700 tickets each. Can be a great atmosphere, pure 50-50 fight, and so much talent on the card. O'Hara Davis is one to watch. Lewis Adolphi, Reece Bellotti, Lucian Reid, Craig Richards. A couple of good title fights between Ben Hall and Chris Adjadua.
Strength and depth, which is great to see.
I think so. I think when you're selling a show, you need the big sort of flagship main event, which is Groves in this case, but then you need some quality. I think this is probably underneath Groves what they call a little bit of a trade card, which is what hardcore boxing fans really like. Whereas the bigger picture might say, well, who is John Wayne Hibbert? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's going to be very entertaining, and it's going to be a long night. But our first one at the Copper Box, I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, me too. Now, Amir Khan, he's finally talking more about Kell Brook. He seems more open to the fight. I've read reports he wants over 80% in purse. How much of this is true, Eddie? And if it is, what's your take on that?
I think he's got an understanding of his value in the fight. I think Kell needs to be respected. He's a champion. It's very difficult. It's very difficult for me to convince Kell Brook to take less than 50%. But I've told him, in order to make this fight, you have to be the bigger man.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity we have to take.
But what it leads on to as well, win over Khan would elevate his career.
Sure. But you can't just roll over and accept any old terms. But we are accepting terms that we feel are still not fair.
Yeah.
But we're never going to agree. Everybody's not going to ever agree and be completely 100% happy with the deal. But I think now's the time to make it, and we need to get this done.
So we are edging closer to that.
Yeah, we're edging closer. There's a long way to go.
Okay.
But when there's dialogue and when everyone's talking,
it's a massive step.
Yeah, and it's always positive, and those phone calls that come in 3, 4, 5 times a day.
So talking about phone calls, Carl Froch, have you heard from him lately?
I had a phone call. Yeah, he's not very well actually. He's got a bit of man flu. He said.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't think he'll fight again. I mean, every day that ticks is another day that he's been out of the ring. It's over a year and a half now since he's been out of the ring, and he won't fight certainly before 2 years out of the ring. So the only thing I would say is he's training, he's fit, and his weight is great. So
because I saw him on Celebrity Storage Hunters the other day. So he sounds like
what are you doing watching that?
Yeah. He sounds like he's spending his time, filling his time.
Yeah.
But it is always been hard for boxers, especially successful boxers like Carl Froch, to hang them up and keep them hung up.
Yeah. Depends on the career you've had. I think when you leave the sport content, it's obviously a lot easier. I mean, Darren Barker's a good example. Wasn't ever overly in love with the sport, but won a world title and was so happy to retire.
Yeah.
He'd never even consider going back. And then Froch, 3-time, 4-time champion of the world, 80,000 at Wembley, huge amounts of
Left
money.
on the British break.
He's happy, So I would have liked to have seen him take the Chavez fight. That was the one that I sort of kicked myself a little bit. Yeah. But, he did have an injury and didn't want to go into it 100%. I just felt he would have won anyway.
Yeah.
So I think Froch will stay retired.
Okay. Now, this question, Eddie, we've had a lot of emails in from WHOATV fans. They want to know, have you ever been approached to do MMA promotion?
No, is the answer. I'm not.
What's your feelings?
I always run my theory is no passion, no point.
Right.
If you're going to sell something, you need to really believe in the product. It's not that I don't believe in MMA. It's just that I don't have a love for MMA.
Yeah.
So I could talk boxing all day,
Yeah.
and I could sell you anything related to boxing. But with MMA, it's probably because I've never been around it. I haven't been as deeply involved. I went to Lesnar against Carwin, is it, or Darwin, a few years ago, at the Mandalay Bay, and I was shocked by the production, shocked by the profile of the audience. I had a great time. Thought it was fantastic. It's just, for me, I think you're either in it or you're not. I don't think MMA is something that you move. I'm a boxing man, so I don't think you just sort of move into MMA. And I love watching more. I found myself lately watching the interviews and the public workouts rather than the fights.
Yeah.
I love watching the McGregor stuff. Conor McGregor is the kind of guy that's going to draw you into the sport.
Yeah,
which,
and he is doing. Yeah,
which I see from the outside. I want to watch Conor McGregor interviews, and therefore I want to watch his fights.
Yeah.
But
that's
you need
the majority of selling the fight.
Yeah, but I always say, without personalities in sport is dead. We had snooker in the 80s and 90s. You had Steve Davis, Hurricane Higgins, Jimmy White, Bill Werbenick. You had a fat bloke, a bloke who was coming off drug problems. You had a bloke who smashed up the balls. You had a boring guy. You had, and in MMA, and same in boxing, you have to have those characters.
Boxing's definitely coming back to that now.
Yeah, it is.
We're seeing so many more characters come to life with your Anthony Joshua's.
Yeah, I don't know. On the MMA side, I could name you 6 fighters. And 2 of those, the ones that I know straight away are Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Now I know Holly Holm. She beat her, and Aldo.
Exactly what Johnny Nelson was just
exactly.
saying.
So, but I think that the UFC brand is remarkable and fantastic at what they do, and a lot of what they do we look at as well, because it's very successful.
You're a fan of their business model.
Yeah, I think obviously there are other UFC MMA brands that aren't as successful. Some are reasonably big, but it's all about giving access to the stars and the talent for the fighters to embrace and engage with. So, but sometimes there aren't the personalities to do that. And I saw a UFC thing recently where they had 20 fighters on a press conference going back. I like that.
It's called the big conference.
Yeah, it's just basically
the
introducing and talking about their fighters, and and that was quite good. A little bit WWE.
Sometimes it can be a little bit forced, especially with the McGregor.
But that sells to the casuals.
But do you ever think boxing stars or potential stars, they ever need help talking to the media, talking to the public?
We do quite a bit of media training with our guys as well. A lot of fighters say, what do you think I should do? And I always say, be yourself, because there's no point trying to forge your personality. Otherwise, it's never going to be natural. You're never going to be able to sell it properly, and it's going to look.
And you come
fake.
across fake.
I mean, Conor McGregor, it's like Tyson Fury. They are a bit nuts, but they also play the game.
Yeah.
And when Tyson Fury went in the ring in America, started taking his jacket off and throwing it down, he wasn't angry.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He knew what he was
Deontay
doing.
Wilder.
Yeah,
I found that quite hard to watch.
Yeah, but it got a lot of attention.
It did, and it's getting him more of a name.
As a promoter, I would never sit there with Tyson Fury, and his promoter wouldn't either, and say, "Get in the ring, go on, do that," and cause it. He just does it because that's him. Same with McGregor.
Yeah.
McGregor will do mad things. He's not being told to do those mad things. He's either doing them because he's mad himself or because he knows it's going to sell something.
Yeah.
And as a promoter, I mean, not be funny. If I was in UFC and I had Conor McGregor, it's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, So yeah, you need personalities, and I think boxing needs more personalities, and MMA needs more personalities. But I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the business, in terms of the UFC, how well they're doing. The brand looks very strong to me, but they are expanding all the time in different territories, and I think it's an interesting product.